So hello everyone. I have a question for you. So how many of you actually remember every single piece of trash you've thrown away during last 1 week? Anyone? Maybe not. Okay, so actually, out of sight, out of mind is the key issue about the waste problem. So after you threw it away, you never think about your waste. Then you don't know where it goes. Maybe you know like who's the one picking up, but maybe you never trace it. Yeah, so basically about the trash or the waste, always it's about knowing where it goes or also where it's coming from. So I'll talk about that today. So actually, when I talk about like waste, people always think about, how you need to treat them, the landfill issue, incineration, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's all about your lifestyles. So this is some example of my lifestyles. So for example, 70% of what I eat is produced in the town I live. Yeah? And 80% of what I use at home, like furniture, plates, that's also coming within the town somehow. Then 90% of what I let go also contributes back to the town. I tell you how. Yeah? So the zero waste town, Kamikatsu, where we are living right now, there's a figures. So for example, we have very massive detailed segregation categories, 45, yes. You can't believe that, right? It's really sound Japanese maybe. And because of that, we have actually 79.5% of recycling rate. And 100% of our organic waste or the food waste get composted. Then our reuse shop has 99% and more of the rates of reusing. Then with all these results, we actually have cut our waste management cost into 1/6 compared to if we burn everything. Then because of that, we have more visitors in our population. Then residents get educated in terms of like environmentally conscious mindset. So this is about our town. Then I'll introduce a little bit further. So this is where we are from now. Looks very much in the mountain, no? We are part of this most beautiful villages in Japan. And then we are surrounded by very steep mountains. And then we are doing some agricultural work. And then used to be the forestry is a big industry for us. It's located in the Shikoku Island of Japan, in the middle of that, in the mountainous area. Actually, almost 90% of our land is covered by the forest. Then in terms of our population, you heard the story from yesterday that Japanese population is very aging and depopulating. So we once had 6,000 as a population in the town, but right now it's only less than 1,600, so it's very low. And then more than half of our population is over 65 years old, so it's very, very aged. So last year we actually celebrated, we had 10 kids born in a year. Then we had to celebrate because it was a massive number for us. Okay, but this is very much a rural town that exists anywhere in Japan, in the rural area. But we are the first town in Japan to actually declare for this zero waste ambition back in 2003. What is zero waste anyway? So for the municipal government, it's always to do with eliminating incineration or landfill waste. So, cutting down this like final landfill or incineration. But actually going back to the main concept, it's always about not producing any waste. Then now I have second question. What is waste? Yeah. So some people tell me that, something maybe you don't use anymore, like something broken, yeah, something you can't utilize anymore. Yeah, people try to define. But actually, who's deciding this is waste? Who's deciding this is you can't use anymore? That's you, right? So basically, a thing becomes waste when us think it's waste, right? So this is very subjective, not objective. And when the thing is subjective, actually you can change it. So that's why our organization, Zero Waste Academy, is trying to change the people's mindset or the action, or to change the usage or the user of the thing, or the social system to make waste into non-waste. So that's our mission. So with Kamikatsu Town, since 2005, after the declaration, we've been trying to change the whole social systems. So actually we have three uniqueness. One is that we don't have any waste collection trucks running in the town. Secondly, we have 100% of organic waste disposed at home. We don't even collect them. Then we have 45 categories of segregation. Through all this, we've changed actually the concept of waste segregation. So in Japan, normally we segregate waste into two categories, which is burnable and non-burnable. But when you hear burnable, of course, like everything is burnable in a way, right? So change that concept into, is it actually recyclable or non-recyclable? Still usable or non-usable? So that's how we changed and redesigned the whole systems. Now, this is how it looks like. So this is our waste collection center where I work as well. So everyone in the town brings their own waste to this collection center by themselves. So we don't have any collection trucks. This is open every day except 3 days in the new year, from 7:30 in the morning up to 2 p.m. So you can choose any time you want to bring your waste to this collection center. However, of course, we have lots of elderly citizens. They can't drive, some of them. Then especially the old women, they don't have the driver license as well. So for them, we have this specific backup service for the pickup. So you can see on the left up, there's a rules that, of course, you can't drive if it's not the small trucks, right? Or on the up right, there's some houses in the mountain that there's no car can access directly to the housings. So that's why we can't actually run the waste collection truck all over the town because it's not efficient at all. That's why we centralize everything in one place and then just decided to do the hub and spoke for the backup. So this really relies on to how your community is standing on. So you need to really customize the system to best fit into the community. Then regarding the organic waste, we have these several composting machines or the tools. And for example, this on the right side, it's the electric composting machine. And then the town actually subsidizes 40,000 Japanese yen out of 50,000 Japanese yen. So that's why the household can buy it very cheaply. Then even paying for this subsidized is much cheaper if you compare paying as a municipality to the incineration. So actually, normally in Japanese community, 30 to 40% of your general waste or the household waste is organic. So that's why if you can cut it down, then we actually make the fertilizer out of this composting machine. Then you can reduce the waste amount massively as well. Then this is some example of our segregation categories. So normally, maybe you have only cans, bottles, plastic bottles, plastics, papers. But for example, even for the cans, we have aluminum cans, steel cans, spraying cans. It's already 3 categories. Then for the bottles, glass bottles, we have clear glass bottles, brown glass bottles, other colored glass bottles, and then reusable glass bottles. So it's 4 categories. And for example, for the papers, let's say we have newspaper, cardboard, magazines, scrap paper, shredded paper, paper container with aluminum on the back, paper cups, paper tubes, hard paper tubes. 10. So that's how detailed our segregation is. And then this is actually based on the detail the operator of the recycling wants to have. So basically, we are in the rural area, then all the recycling operator needs to come and pick up resources from our area. So it costs more than other cities. But by doing all this segregation, we actually keep the quality very high for them to pick it up. So that's why they can still keep the amount they pay us or we pay them to be in the same standards as other cities. Yeah. And in this waste collection center, actually there's 2 specific things happening. One is that we actually show the signs that not only what to put in to the bins, for example, aluminum cans, It doesn't only say aluminum cans, but it also shows where it goes, what it will be, and how much it costs or earns to the community. So people can actually visualize how it will be treated afterwards. And also, this collection center doesn't smell bad at all. Normally, the waste collection center, you imagine that it's smelly, dirty, and you never want to go, right? But this place doesn't smell because you don't bring the organic waste inside, and then also you don't bring things with the dirty part in. Everyone cleans up your plastic bottle, cans to the collection center. Then when I talk about the segregation, everyone asks do you have 45 bins at your home? But no, this is the example. This is very usual, it's maybe similar a little bit to your houses. What's unique is that if you segregate all this recyclable, actually no choice but to burn bin is very small. So you can actually make it very less, and then this is how it looks like. Then through all this, actually we have successfully educated residents to be unconsciously environmental conscious. Meaning, if you're actually doing the segregation, of course it's a lot of work, so you don't want to do the segregation. So when they go for shopping, you start to think, maybe if I buy this, I need to segregate more than this product. So it's less packaged, and then maybe environmentally friendly. So it means people started to think and become conscious more about what you buy. Then going to actually give you the bit of the background of Japanese waste management. So actually, Japanese people burn 80% of our waste. And then Japan has 2/3 of the incinerator of the worldwide. So we have the biggest incineration country in the world. Yeah. But of course, it started with sanitation issues, or we don't have much of the place to landfill. That's why the government pushed for the incineration. But if we are looking at sustainable resource management as the sustainable economy, of course, we just consume and burn. So we can't sustain the resources. That's why we really need to look into the issue now. And also looking at the municipal level, actually the national government is not the one taking responsibility for the general waste. Each city or the town, municipal government is the one need to take responsibility for the general waste. So they need to have their own location to bury the waste, or location or the facility to manage the waste, and then of course the budget for it. That's why small municipality like our town, having struggled with all this budget creation, location problems, and everything. That's why in Kamikatsu, our town, actually we had struggle with burning waste outside, and of course it was dangerous, and then we had to stop. And then we built small incinerator, but we had huge issue with the pollution with the dioxin, so we had to shut it down. So that's why the town need to be very creative out of the box to think, how can we not spend that much money for the incineration, but to do something with the waste. So that's how we all started the segregation and recycling. Then back in 2003, after all these struggles, we decided to also declare towards more positive future, which is the zero waste. So we actually declared by 2020, we will have zero waste, hopefully. And then to do that, we need to educate people, and then also to make more people join us, so that we can't just do the zero waste society by ourselves in the small town. So that's why we need you and everyone to join us as well. Okay, so here, I actually have her. She's from Kamikatsu. She's still a high school student, but our youth fellow, and she grew up in the town. So she can share a little bit about her experience.
Hello, I'm Sakura. I'm from Kamikatsu. I grew up in the environment that is natural to segregate waste into 34 categories. It was too natural for me, but when I started going to a high school outside the town, I realized it's not natural for everybody. So I've reflected the meaning of the segregation. Then I found two things. Firstly, by doing segregation, we tend to consider more about the next steps of the waste. While if we just threw it away, you never care about it again. Secondly, When we have to segregate, we also tend to think while shopping to buy products with less segregation. These were new findings for me, so I started to learn more about the zero waste. While I thought I knew quite well about it, actually I found I knew nothing about the waste problems. It was shocking for me to know in Japan we burn 80% of our waste. Also, worldwide including Hong Kong, limitation of the landfill is very critical. The more I know about it, the more I feel I should do something. Being a teen, I can't do much. However, it is our responsibility to know what's really happening and why. Because we are the generation leading the future society. So, when we look at the thing or waste, let's take one more step to think about what's invisible. Backgrounds or reasons why and how it is here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So she shared about her experience, and then these are the generation who grow up with already all the segregation system in place. So for her, it's very natural. But again, now it's the question, can it be natural only? So if you don't think about why we are doing it or why we started this, then people tend to forget about it. So now our question is recycling enough? So we already have the system for recycling, but is it enough? So this is a picture actually showing all these people trying to recycle a lot. But look at this. Of course, all the waste is still falling down, right? So we need to really close the tap in the top streams to produce waste so that we can actually stop the waste problem. So that's why all this 3R concept comes in. It always starts with reducing of the waste or the prevention of the waste, then reusing the material we have, then in the end it's recycling. So in Kamikatsu also, we have this kuru shop which is for the reusing. So we let residents bring what they don't use anymore and then let the others take away anything for free. And then we have more than 90% reusing rates. Then we have this Kuru Craft Center also. This is about the upcycle, what Kevin showed also. Then what I'm wearing today is also the same thing he wear. Yeah. Then with all this, when we are looking at all this segregation guidebook, these are the remainings of what we can't do anything with recycling. So this goes to incineration or the landfill, including diapers, like cigarettes, rubber products, leather products, or the material mixed products. Yeah. So for this, we can't do much. So that's why we need to advocate to the producers or for the actual consumers as well. So that's what we have started together with the local businesses. So of course, educating individual is very important. At the same time, we'd like to build bigger voice of consumers or what we are using it for. So that's why we empower local businesses, especially restaurants or the cafes. They are pretty nice. And then we actually consulted them to change their purchasing method. We give them checklist, for example, to change single-use products into reusable products, or something that they purchase with lots of packaging into less packaging. So they actually shifted all these purchasing products to the other side. Then that can actually bring a bit bigger consumer voice to the producers. So these are the categories I showed them, and then this is how we also accredit them to be promoted as well. Then we also started free packaging corner promotion in the supermarket, so you can also, or we can also access to free packaging as well. So in the end, I'd like you to bring a little bit different tips what you can start from today. So for example, as I mentioned, reusing or the support second-hand market is also important. Plan shopping before you actually start buying lots of packaged products, or try bring your own, or if you want to experience how much you produce waste every day, maybe you can start with the weighing, or just in the contrary, you can try with free plastic day so you can see how much you're surrounded by all this waste plastics. Or also knowing what you use, know your material, is it recyclable or not, is also very important. So looking back to what I shared in the beginning, so my lifestyle supporting a local production and also not package. So if locally produced, and it means less packaged because I can purchase directly from the farmers and it doesn't necessarily be packaged, then I support also the second-hand or reusing or DIY. Then also all this recycling system or reusing community cannot be only done by yourself. So if you don't have it, you need to advocate. So thank you very much. So to be zero, you need to start from one. Thank you.